In November 1985, a hunter walking through Brook State Park in Allenstown, New Hampshire, came across a large metal drum partially buried in the woods. Inside were the decomposing remains of an adult woman and a young girl, both killed by blunt force trauma to the head. Authorities estimated they'd been dead for several years. Despite extensive efforts, neither victim was identified, and the case went cold. 15 years later, in May 2000, another barrel was discovered just a few hundred yards away from the first one. This time it contained two more victims, another adult woman and another young girl, also killed in a similar brutal manner. Investigators now had 4 victims, 2 women and 2 children, but still no names, no motive, and no suspect. The bodies showed signs they'd been stored and moved over time, suggesting the killer had kept them for a while before dumping them. For years, the case haunted New Hampshire investigators. The victims became known as the Allenstown Four, and sketches and reconstructions were released, but leads dried up. The breakthrough came through groundbreaking genetic genealogy in the late 2010s. DNA from the crime scene linked the victims to a man named Terry Rasmussen, also known by aliases like Bob Evans and Larry Vanner. Rasmussen had a long criminal history and had lived in the area during the time frame of the murders, late 1970s, early 1980s. Investigators pieced together that the adult woman in the first barrel was Marlise Honeychurch, 24, who had disappeared in 1978 from California along with her 2 daughters. One of the young girls was her 7-year-old daughter, Marie Vaughn. The other young girl from the second barrel was Sarah McWatters, 11 months old when she vanished, Marie's half-sister. The remaining adult woman from the second barrel was identified much later in 2025 updates as Rhea Rasmussen, who turned out to be Terry Rasmussen's own biological daughter from a previous relationship. Rasmussen had been living under false identities, moving across the country and committing crimes along the way. He had killed Marlise and her daughters after inserting himself into their lives, then later murdered his own daughter as well. He was already in prison for an unrelated 2002 murder of yet another woman under an alias when the connections were made. He died in prison in 2010 before he could be charged in the Brook killings, but DNA and circumstantial evidence conclusively tied him to all 4 murders. This case is considered one of the earliest major successes of investigative genetic genealogy, the same technique later used in cases like the Golden State Killer. It showed how a serial killer could evade detection for decades by constantly changing identities and locations. The story is tragic and horrifying. A predator who targeted vulnerable women and children, disposed of them in barrels, and nearly got away with it forever.